a wonderful place existed.
The Athenians called it
The
Acropolis. Free expression, ethics, art, philosophy. The Acropolis heralded the democracy. But if I told you the Acropolis has returned. Acropolis News. News from the Acropolis.
I'm an American. I like my cars fast and my burgers delicious. But what I also like is the government to get a warrant before it violates my rights. And that's why I trust NordVPN. NordVPN is one of the most affordable VPNs out there with a wide listing range of features, including features that help boost your computer's overall speed and performance, which with the internet here, God knows, not only do I need and use, but the thing is, there is a good chance that you both need and could use a VPN yourself. So why not help the channel out? Click the affiliate link down below in the description and get yourself one of the best VPNs out there at the most affordable price. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of the show. There are a lot of things going on with regards to the Supreme Court deciding that it does not have the right to override the legislator, but I promise to get into that, and I promise to get into that more on Wednesday. However, there are some things that happened throughout last week that I need to cover on Monday's Trevor Report, because on Friday this was dropped, and I planned to do a recap of that, but then a lot of people started rioting over the weekend. I only caught I only watched the rioting for a few hours Saturday morning. I haven't even hit refresh on these yet. Well, I'll just refresh them as I go along. This is taken from Saturday. Pro-abortion activists kicked off the freeway by LAPD. They were trying to block the freeway because a bunch of female supremacists, I'll put it that way, who believe that they are so intrinsically good by the nature of them existing that when they justify the murdering of a baby, they're not engaging in genocide, they're merely exercising their rights. Well, I don't think women have, or anyone here, I know this is a very shocking position, but I'm going to say it. Men and women are human. Men and women have equal rights and equal protection under the law. Men can't murder babies. Women can't murder babies. Men can't force doctors to violate their Hippocratic oaths. Women can't force doctors to violate their Hippocratic oaths. It's really quite simple. It's really quite simple from every value dimension, except for people who are pro-murdering babies, which is apparently a value dimension. So they shut down the freeway. Let's look at this a bit more. Oh yeah, I'm gonna shout out this channel. It's called The Vigilant Fox, and I'm gonna be going through it because he was remarkably quick to get this riot footage. So I'm going to continue. Pro-baby murdering rioters throw fireworks at police officers.
It's just what they do. They took to the Arizona's capital and started committing what Democrats call insurrection. That's what they did. Communist insurrectionaries and other far-left protesters surround and attack LAPD officers, and violence ensues. You could see that the people wearing all black are just. What is wrong with Portland PD right there? They're literally like throwing fireworks at you and like punching you. It's a remarkable amount of restraint, especially for LAPD. But I don't want the cities to be turned into candles again. I don't want the violent pillaging of working class communities. If more riots happen in these predominantly low income areas throughout the United States, then what's going to happen is it's going to get to a point where people in these areas, if they're not already affected by the riots in this way, they won't be able to afford to move. And if they already can't afford to move, and their entire towns have been essentially laid siege by a bunch of upper middle class LARPers who know that they could get away with violently pillaging these working class communities, then it's just going to become a point where, like, I just don't like any of this. I truly don't. Washington, D.C. protesters circumvent police lines and advance towards the Supreme Court because, according to what we've been hearing this entire year, they're committing insurrection. Los Angeles pro-abortion protesters shut down the freeway and use sticks to attack passing drivers. Because of course they did. I also apparently got a clip or two on Friday, but anyway. Let's continue. Nightfall approaches. D.C. businesses board up their windows in light of Roe v. Wade. Those wooden panels didn't stop them last time, and it's not going to stop them again because what you would have to stop people from violently pillaging a working class community near you is police officers. But we've pathologized police officers and cut the police officers' budgets all across the Western world, and not just the United States. And I suppose the height of it was when leftists in France and Britain were protesting and doing things in the name of George Floyd. So, yeah, that's So yeah, as a contrast to this pro-violence, pro-insurrection, pseudo-benevolent, gender radical occultism, let's contrast that with the Texas GOP platform. Now, I was ragging on it because, truthfully, I saw a few corporate press articles, and because I was being an idiot, I assumed that they were being truthful. It was dumb of me, but I did it nonetheless. Let's read a little bit more, shall we? Let's just go over what they believe in their own platform. Let's go with their principles. We, the 2020 Republican Party of Texas, this is the one that was being cited all throughout the corporate press articles, by the way, believe in this platform and expect our elected leaders to uphold these truths through acknowledgement and action. We believe in the laws of nature and nature's God, and we support the strict adherence to the original language and intent of the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States and of Texas. So, constitutionalism, Lockain, okay, like a hybridization of Lockain values and Christian values because they are American Republicans. The sanctity of innocent life created in the image of God, which should be equally protected from fertilization to natural death. I don't see a problem with that. Preserving American and Texas sovereignty and freedom. That is one of the roles of government. I do agree. Limiting government power to those items enumerated in the United States and Texas constitutions. So if the government doesn't have infinite authority and your rights do not come from the state, I'm not seeing any. I was told the Texas GOP was fascist, but I'm not seeing anywhere in their. Let me read through the rest of their principles before I make comment, I suppose. Personal accountability and responsibility sounds very socialist. Stupid. Self-sufficient families founded on the traditional marriage of a man and a natural woman. Okay. Having an educated population, with parents having the freedom of choice for the education of their children, the inalienable right of all people to defend themselves and their property, a free enterprise society unencumbered by government interference or subsidies, honoring all of those that serve and protect our freedom. So, I'm not noticing making the state proletariat in order to bring the population of the country to heel, so that you can bring about the supremacy of reason. I'm not seeing any fascism in their principles. I'm not seeing any genocide action in their principles. So. Anyway, they go on about utilities and the power grid, smart meters, insurance rates, interstate commerce, municipal preemption, a lot of local stuff, a lot of things pertaining government accountability. They say we believe the Minimum Wage Act should be repealed. There's arguments for a minimum wage, on both ends of it, because if a company has to pay you a set amount, because there is an argument that I like to use. Not that I'm against a minimum wage, but I'm not for a minimum wage either. But what I would say as part of the reason why as one of the reasons that makes me lean towards a neutral view of it, is that I don't have the ability to negotiate on any terms when the terms are already set for me, right? Because many people have many different situations. So let's say they're obligated to pay you this amount an hour, right? But what if you wanted in exchange for, what if you wanted to negotiate for things like in exchange for room and board and amenities? What if you wanted to say, well, I understand that you're obligated to pay me $10 per hour by the law, but what if you cut that to $7 an hour per the law, and you cover insurance, dental, and all of those kind of things? Because not a lot of places cover those things. And if your expenses are reduced, then there is an argument that you can have your employer help you reduce your expenses in exchange for lowering your wage. Things of that nature is an argument against a minimum wage. That I see something like that prevailing here. We support allowing any person to sit at the Texas State Bar exam regardless of where he or she received their law education, as long as criminal and ethical background requirements are met. That's fine. We recommend the state legislature consider modifying existing state law to take into account the implications of doxing that result in harm to one's person or business. Swatting should be considered a felony, and it should stack for each person that lives with you when you've been swatted, things like that. We oppose all efforts to further regulate the internet in the United States. The social media freedom, they're saying that Republicans are being treated like second-class citizens on the internet because they are. Rural and volunteer fire departments. We urge Congress to overturn the rules of the United States Department of Labor restricting volunteerism by paid firefighters, medical technician personnel, and to support protections similar to those provided to National Guardsmen for service during declared emergency. Like, all of this is very, very standard stuff, and it's a lot of things that pertain to local issues. There's this part on Freedom Food on line number 51. We urge that legislation be passed to restrict that no legislation be passed to restrict purchase of edible products such as meat, milk, eggs, vegetables, etc. directly from small farms, and that any regulations prohibiting that be rescinded. Businesses are not held liable to any customer who frequents their business and is later confirmed to test positive for COVID-19. And that is actually something that makes sense. That's a stupid thing to be responsible for. If your neighbors have sex and your neighbor's wife is pregnant, that is not your fault. Nature occurring in abstract is not your personal responsibility. If someone else contracts a disease, because people contract disease, that's part of being alive, that's part of living, then you can't. That's like being responsible for nature occurring. It's like being responsible for the wind. It's nonsense. It doesn't make sense. Government should not be able to force businesses to require face coverings. Yeah, fair enough. Right to freedom of speech. Keep the oath of the Constitution. Preservation of our constitutional republic, state sovereignty, no foreign law, judicial overreach, limiting the power of the Supreme Court, and preserving republicanism. So, and the Electoral College. I'm not seeing any insurrection of the government here in this anywhere in here. We support the right to recall our elected officials. State Electoral College. The state legislature shall cause to be enacted a state constitutional amendment creating an electoral college consisting of electors selected by the popular votes cast within each individual state senatorial district, who shall then elect all statewide office holders. Habeas corpus. We oppose any bill or provision that would suspend habeas corpus for American citizens except as addressed by the Constitution. U.S. citizenship. We support a change to the 14th Amendment to eliminate birth tourism or anchor babies by granting citizenship only to those with at least one biological parent who is a U.S. citizen. That's how that works in the entire world. Funny enough. Census. In accordance with Article 1, Section 2 of the United States Constitution, we support actual count of the United States citizens only. We oppose Census Bureau estimates and the collection of all other data. Okay. Term limits. We support term limits of 12 years for federal offices and state offices. National language. We support a constitutional amendment making English the official language of the United States of one of no more than two official languages of all U.S. territories and possessions. Equal Rights Amendment. We call on the 87th Texas Legislature to adopt a resolution clarifying that the 1972 ratification of the 62nd Texas Legislature of the proposed Equal Rights Amendment to the United States Constitution was valid only through March 22nd, 1979. Executive orders. We oppose all executive orders. Affirmative action. We believe in equal opportunity for all citizens with regard to race or biological sex. We believe in Martin Luther King's dream of a colorblind society. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with this. Who cares if they have Who cares if they have Who cares if they have views on the 2020 election that half the country have? And perhaps perhaps people would be a bit more and perhaps even the Texas GOP would be more willing to side with Biden and to give Biden his due if he would stop if he and his fellow Democrats and fellow Uniparty members would simply stop treating Republicans as second-class citizens, stop treating conservatives as second-class citizens, stop treating liberals as second-class citizens. Okay, I'm on page 17, and I'm not seeing anything regarding 2020. So, look, I'll just say that the corporate press was right, that they probably did say that the Texas GOP probably did say that Biden wasn't legitimately elected, but that's the opinion of the Pennsylvania court earlier this year. I don't. Anyway, so I'm going to continue. So I'm going to contrast the evil, racist, sexist, homophobic, Nazi, maggot, bigot, fascism with the day 2 of the January 6th committee. Now, the January 6th committee has been going on. It's gonna be going on for a little bit longer, but day 2 is particularly egregious. Now, I'm about an hour and 40 minutes in to the day 2 of the January 6th committee, or I should say, I'm on my second viewing, and I'm an hour and 40 minutes in. This woman, Lofgren, or however you pronounce it, I forget. It's 5 in the morning right now. It's not even 5 in the morning right now, but she doesn't even ask questions. Okay, materially speaking, she is using words in a manner that is formulating a question. But what she's really doing is she's phrasing her opinions as questions and then saying, "Do you agree with me?" or whatever. Is that an accurate assessment afterwards? And then some controlled opposition on the stand is like, "Well, based on that leading question you asked me, yes, but except because he's control opposition, he doesn't acknowledge that it's a leading question." Also, they're splicing together, presumably hours worth of testimony from various people. It's look, they're all saying Trump is evil or whatever. And it's yeah, when you edit it that way, it probably comes out that Donald Trump is evil or whatever. And that's why I like Viva Fry's analysis of it, because I would have observed that, but I wouldn't have been able to observe it and then do the legal analysis of it afterwards. So I'm gonna link this in the description if you want to watch more, because honestly, Viva Fry makes these Jan 6 hearings a little bit more tolerable. But anyway, let's continue comparing and contrasting the evil, anti-democrat, anti-democracy, racist, sexist, homophobic. We believe there should be no granting of special legal entitlements or creation of special status for homosexual behavior, regardless of state of origin. We oppose any criminal or civil penalties against those who oppose homosexuality out of faith. So, balance. So right there. The religious people should be allowed to have their views. And gay people, by virtue of being born correct, shouldn't be granted special privileges for being born correct. We shouldn't have a caste system we should not have a caste system of false benevolence. We shouldn't treat certain segments of the population better than we treat other portions of the population. No taxpayer funding for sex change, and sex change is like basically the lobotomy of the 21st century. It's incredibly barbaric. It is incredibly barbaric. But enough with the Texas the Texas GOP platform, right? There's treating people equally under the law, constitutionalism. No, like there's nothing wrong with this unless you take the idiot approach, I suppose. But then there's the Jan 6 committee of treating some people who rioted and using that as a catalyst to treat 50% of the country as second-class citizens, right? To treat half of not only the entire electorate of the country, okay, but also everyone with any anti-establishment sentiments, right? Anyone who's even remotely against the Uniparty, anyone who is remotely against the caste system of false benevolence at this country, and lumping them all together as the same thing. And because there might eventually be someone who is pro-caste system watching this, I am definitionally speaking not a fascist, okay? I'm not, like, my views aren't even, like, my views aren't post-enlightenment. I'm not a post-Hegelian philosopher like Marx or Gentile. Okay, I'm not to be honest, the only Enlightenment philosopher that I agree with is Locke. But I find myself preferring Michael Oakeshott to Rousseau. I find myself, from a time standpoint, I suppose I find myself agreeing more with Michael Oakeshott over Ayn Rand. I find myself agreeing more with Edmund Burke than Rousseau. But on that same token, I prefer Locke to Hobbes, and to a certain extent, I prefer Locke to Hobbes, Montesquieu. I like some things that Machiavelli has said, but not really so much other things. Okay, if you're watching this and you're the kind of idiot who doesn't understand fascist, I'm going to call it theology, just like how I would call it socialist theology. If you are conflating my views, which are definitionally speaking not post Enlightenment, right? And you conflate that with the post Enlightenment view of fascism. I'm not trying to make the state proletariat, unlike people who are in the Enlightenment and post Enlightenment. I don't believe in perfect societies. I don't believe you can or should perfect societies. Like, there are a lot of, I'm not trying to make a race proletariat in the way the National Socialists do, and I think all of this is stupid. I think all of it is utopian nonsense. Okay? I think I agree with the person who first coined the term utopia. Right? That it is a contradiction in terms. It's an impossibility. It doesn't make sense. Okay, a society comprised of humans, or comprised of anything humans make, will have a flaw. Those flaws will manifest themselves and become worse and worse over time. Any society that is in the interest of humans, therefore, should not be trying to perfect society or perfect the culture, but rather should have a Lockean view on policy, and should have a view on philosophy that takes all philosophies into account. Because one of the things you find when you read enough from various philosophies is that every single philosophy out there gets at least one thing right. That's just kind of the way it is. I don't know where I was going with that. I just kind of felt like it, I suppose. But anyway, back to contrasting the right with the wrong. So we have the wrong with doing their wrong things, and then we have this clip provided from Project Veritas. We need some secret sleepers, like you need. We need them to run as the other side, even though they are for our side, and we need them to win, says Crystal Matthews, South Carolina state rep and U.S. Senate candidate. We need people to run as Republicans in these local elections. This is the only way we're gonna see change in the dynamics of South Carolina. We can battle them in public all day as long as we know we are working for the same goal. For me, I feel like, y'all, we need sleepers. When we get enough of us in there, we can wreak havoc for real from the inside out. Then we can flip some S from the inside out. We got to take back some of these seats, especially in these local elections. We need a group of sleepers, and I still got to struggle to raise money for my campaign. Where the F is my black people with money? I don't care about no dope money. This is her saying this. Give me that dope boy money. S. Where the effing dope? Where the duffel bag boys? Find me some from your family that don't even know you donating to my campaign, and put that S under they names. Honestly, these ain't the same type of black people that I grew up around. I don't recognize these black people. I'm not saying that. South Carolina Rep. Crystal Matthews is saying this, Democrat. So black because I don't understand the type of black they are. So I'm not black because I don't understand the type of black they are. Now, can I talk intelligently? Yikes. Can I? I could be. Listen, I can move in all kind of circles, but I am an N-word at heart. I love black people. I feel safest around my people. So Crystal Matthews is an autocratic ethno-nationalist subverter. Big yikes. But it was a process that a lot of people did not trust, and I think for a good reason. The Wisconsin Republican Party is trying to expose private entities' financial involvement in U.S. democratic processes. The state's party director has said, "We're gonna gotta keep money out of politics." It's such fascism. So when you keep the monies out of the politics and stuff, it's so much fascism. It's just such racist, sexist, homophobic, alt-right, neo-Nazi, alt-right, maggot, fascist bigotry when we keep the monies out of the politics and stuff. Anyway, you get the point, so I'm moving on. The Act Man was demonetized on YouTube because he sent a series of jokes to a professional YouTube doxer. Or whatever. Basically, the Act Man was in a bit of a spit with this guy from Quantum TV. Basically, there's this video game called Elden Ring. I believe. I don't play it. I don't have the latest Xbox. I don't have the latest PlayStations, and I don't really. I play like one or two games on the computer, like through Steam or whatever. I don't really like to play games on the computer. But long story short, the Act Man released a video called "Terrible Takes" on Elden Ring or something like that. I forget the video title, and he was basically like, "Look, That's a terrible take. But there's this guy from Quantum TV who was like, "Oh man, I can't believe you did something so terrible. I can't believe you've done something so terrible to me. I can't believe you did this." So he talked to YouTube, and then the guy from the Quantum TV, a YouTube channel, he abused the YouTube copyright system in order to try to get the video demonetized, taken down, something like that. And so then the Act Man responded, because he's been on YouTube for a while and he just knows how it is. He went to Twitter and then responded to Quantum TV by just doing a series of jokes. They're pretty funny jokes. I got to see him. He got all dressed up for like the various like images and stuff. Like he literally like straight up made memes, like very high quality ones too. So that's just how it was with that. But then it just slowly but surely escalated to the point where the Quantum TV was like, "The Act Man's trying to dox me. The Act Man is a racist, sexist, homophobic, bigot, fascist. YouTube, why are you allowing his channel to be monetized?" And then YouTube demonetized his entire channel, and they have yet to reinstate the Act Man's channel. They've yet to do it. Okay, and long story short, with what I'm ending on is, I'm so glad that I don't have to deal with this. I'm on Rumble. And Minds and Odysee and Getter and Gab, okay? I don't have to deal with the YouTube copyright system. I don't have to deal with this culture of false benevolence. I can say things that are true, that occur in reality, okay? I can reflect that reality and distill it in a manner for people that hopefully is pretty digestible. I can break down the various philosophies of things, and I can do it, and I can do it without consequences. Because, well, first off, there shouldn't be any consequences for simply engaging in the public square, and two, my social media presence is so thoroughly decentralized that I cannot be canceled. My finances are so thoroughly decentralized that I cannot be a victim of these targeted harassment campaigns. Okay, I'm so pro parallel economy at this point, and I fundamentally am so pro parallel economy because funny enough, I don't like being treated like a second-class citizen because I actually understand what's going on and I read occasionally. Funny enough. But anyway, I'm just going to leave it at that. In the meantime, my name is Trevor Brown, and you just watched the Trevor Report. Do click the Linktree down below in the description that I was forced to make because Linktree banned my Linktree for posting black nationalism, so I made my new one down below in the description.
The Trevor Report is sponsored by Acropolis News Network, the world's first fully independent media organization powered by peer-to-peer advertising, Liberty platforms, and cryptocurrency. On Acropolis, on theacropolisnews.com, we have a different standard of journalism. We adhere to the Nicomedean ethics as outlined by Aristotle, and unlike a traditional show, what we have at Acropolis News Network is a decentralized network of fully independent online content creators. You can go to where to watch/chat/support over on theacropolisnews.com, where we have a bunch of information where you can contact Acropolis News Network and even engage with the wider audience of the Acropolis. And we also have a premium subscription, and with this premium subscription you can get access to a ton of cool features. Cool features like an entire series where not only do I break down the best arguments of critical race theory, I also go over how to defeat those arguments and a counter-narrative specifically for integrationists in order to counter the cultural colonization that critical race theorists engage in. I also have this article that I just put out there where it's basically I analyze time travel as a concept, and I go through and I draw on Michael Oakeshott and Aristotle in order to navigate a way through determining the validity of time travel without going into the science of it, and actually going into why going into the science of it is kind of pointless. So if you want to check those out, do get a premium subscription, and in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed the show.
Acropolis News. News from the Acropolis.
All of you brilliant viewers out there, my name is Trevor Brown. I am the editor-in-chief of Acropolis News Network because I can give myself whatever name and title I want because I own it. You could go to theacropolisnews.com, or you could go to This Just Trevor on whatever Liberty platform is your choice. You know, except for the ones I'm not on because I haven't seen them pretty much.
Acropolis News. News from the Acropolis.